We're talking with Teresa Durkin, the class of 1994 here at Temple from the School of Environmental Design. Teresa is currently the Senior Project Director for the Trust for the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Thanks so much and congratulations.
Thank you. Great to be here.
You are an adjunct professor also, and you've written a number of books on sustainable design. So I guess tell me a little bit about how you got interested in this field in the first place.
Well, I've always been a gardener. I've always been interested in the land, and I grew up in the 60s, and that was really sort of the beginning of the environmental movement in this country. So I was sidetracked for a while in the field of advertising, and then I decided I was going to go back to school and study landscape architecture. I was 40 years old at the time, so I went to Temple.
Fantastic.
Yes.
What kind of, for you personally, what kind of challenge was it to come back, study something completely different, and be one of those, what we like to call, non-traditional students in the classroom?
Yes, I always love that term, non-traditional student. Well, the challenges for me were that I had two children at the time. They were both in grade school, but my husband was supportive, and I loved every minute of it. I absolutely adored returning. It was like starting over because it's a science-based curriculum, so there were different courses that I had to take, but I loved every minute of it, and I'd go back to school again tomorrow if I could.
Fantastic. So once you left Temple, then what was the career path? What did you get started in?
After I left Temple, I worked for a large architecture firm. And then I went to a much smaller firm called Andropogon Associates, who really were pioneers in environmental design. And I was a principal and a partner there for many years. After that, I went to the large scale again to a big international firm called HOK. I worked around the world, including places like Dubai. And now I have the great privilege and honor of working with the Trust for the National Mall, which is based in Washington, D.C., and we are the nonprofit partner with the National Park Service, and we're committed to restoring our nation's front yard, the National Mall, and raising $350 million to do it. So I couldn't be happier than to be, at this point in my career, really focusing on an iconic landscape for our nation.
What is your advice to this class of 2013 and to all of our Temple students on how to make it, how to be a successful alum as you are?
Well, landscape architecture is my second career, and I have to say, it really is true, do what you love. Because you will just run to work every day, it will not be a burden, and it will just flow. It really is a very true thing. I always thought it was a cliche, but it is true. So you have to keep showing up and do what you love.
Terrific. We've been talking to Teresa Durkin, the class of 1994 from the School of Environmental Design. Thanks so much for joining us.